Good morning to some, good evening to others. Thanks so much for joining. Obviously, we have Brad here. He needs no introduction. You can ask him anything, tips on writing, producing, Stargate, Travelers, Outer Limits, early career. You can even ask him about other films and shows because he's just a huge sci-fi fan. He's been in the business for 3 decades. And yeah, the only rule, there's only one rule, please don't spam. Spam is great for a plate, but bad for a chat forum. So we'll get to as many questions as possible. And in the meantime, as you guys start asking questions now, actually lots of members have started like emailing a couple days ago, and also when they registered. So we'll get through some of those questions first as it builds up. But Brad first.
Can I say something that I know is going to be a question? I just want to say that I know a lot of people are going to ask about a new Stargate project. And the fact is, I just want everybody to know that MGM and I are working on something. It's just too early to talk about. And it's partly too early because there's a pandemic going on. And that's kind of ground a few things to a halt. But we are working on something. It's very exciting. It's something that we've been talking about for a while now, and I love it. I'm excited to have the possibility of making it someday soon, or someday, period. and it's. I'll say this much. I'll say that it exists in the universe that you already know. It's not a reboot. It's not a completely new thing. It's a continuation, and I'll leave it at that. I'm not allowed to say anything.
That's what we want to hear, Brad. That's what we want to hear.
Good. Everybody's just going offline now, right?
Yeah,
that's all I want to know.
We're done. We've done our job. AMA. Thanks, guys. Oh wow, that's exciting. It's exciting. I don't know if I'm gonna see if there's any, what's going on in the chat here, but hopefully,
okay, go ahead.
People are loving that. I'm seeing lots of woos, lots of claps, thank yous, well dones. We need more Stargates. That's what's happening. That's awesome. Oh, great news. What a way to kick off the AMA. All right. So yeah, let's get to some questions now. It's like,
okay.
The first question comes from Christoph Collada. And it's just a simple one. What are some of your favorite sci-fi books, Brad?
Favorite sci-fi books? Oh, wow. I started reading sci-fi when I was like in my early teens. And I really, I read all of Isaac Asimov. I read as much Fred Saberhagen as I could get my hands on. And it was funny because of the time. I just thought there would be an infinite amount of classic sci-fi out there, but there isn't. There's a ton of it, but the stuff that's magnificent, you can kind of burn through it in a lifetime. But so now I love Scalzi. John is a great writer. We're kind of cut from the same cloth of not being able to write something that doesn't have humor in it. But I love hard science fiction. I love like the hardcore stuff. If you read my essay, I love fantasy too. Lord of the Rings was like epic when I was 12 years old, and I read that, all 3 volumes, and cried when Gandalf fell, and my brother at dinner said, "Don't worry about it, he's going to be okay." And I got really mad at him for the spoiler. Mainly, I love sci-fi, and I love space opera. I love military sci-fi. I love writing military sci-fi. I don't know why. Maybe it was well predated Stargate SG-1 that I had this affection for military fiction too. Not that I'm hugely into war. It's just that it has such an impact on humanity and on the creation of civilization that it's impossible to ignore as a thing that happens in the world, and it has always happened in humanity. It's just what happens when people stop talking, and I love science fiction set in the distant future. I'm trying to remember the name of that book that I just read. British author, brilliant. It's about spiders that evolve, meeting humans for the first time. It's brilliant, and somebody should tell me. Somebody remember it and tell me.
Yeah,
because it's really popular.
Well, when you remember, we'll tweet it out later. So
okay, good idea.
So we'll get it. Yeah. Actually, you speaking of Scalzi. One of the other members had asked, Ian Zania, he was asking, what role did John Scalzi play? And what were some of his notable contributions, in Stargate universe?
Okay, so John, what he did was he was at home, and I met him. We met him once. We flew him out. We had a meeting. But what he did was he would read a script once I thought it was in good enough shape to share, and he read it from a science perspective, and because with SG we were trying to be more accurate. My penchant for trying to be a little more accurate in terms of science and science fiction was getting more serious. And John is a smart man, and his knowledge is encyclopedic. I mean, he would read the scripts and say, you can't possibly do that in that much time if we were talking about a flight at a certain speed. He's just smart, and but also he's also very creative. So he would talk about character and as well. But mainly he was our science fiction consultant, and I loved getting his insights and it's funny. I said in my essay too. I'm always just a little bit embarrassed when I talk to real scientists about science fiction, especially my science fiction, because you start talking about, and it happened with John. You start talking about a structure in that was visible after the Big Bang that indicated that something happened before the Big Bang, evidence of life before life was possible to exist. And I remember getting the email and him going, "Wow, heady stuff, man," and thinking to myself, and being a little bit embarrassed because I knew that he understood this stuff much more than I do, but he completely got it and completely helped us form that part of the story. It was great.
We got another question. This one came from a Twitter member, SGC Gate. And they wanted to know, who are your heroes in the field of writing, acting, directing, and how do they influence your career? So kind of maybe even related to the last question as well.
I don't have any immediate heroes. I have filmmakers that I love. I mean, who doesn't love Steven Spielberg? And I loved early Lucas. I worry about having heroes because people's careers ebb and flow. I think Aaron Sorkin is among the greatest writers ever, and he doesn't do science fiction, but his dialogue is so unbelievable and so captures real people. So I lean toward that kind of thing. I could go way back to Frank Capra. I love Frank Capra stuff, and it's that's incredibly old stuff, but capturing humanity, films and actors and writers and directors who can capture, I'm not inventing this term, but something with heart, something that is has an element of heart in it, and it could be It's a Wonderful Life. It could be Aliens. Aliens is got that great stay away from her, you bitch moment that is technical and incredible and powerful, but it's driven by heart, this protective instinct, and so I would have to include Aliens in that. It's that film that when it's on TV I can't not watch it, and it's just every scene is perfect to me.
Yeah, I call those take you along for the ride films, where you accidentally get onto the channel and then takes you on for a ride and then you're on it.
Yeah, Groundhog Day is like that. You're watching TV and geez, there's Bill Murray and Groundhog Day. I have to watch a few minutes of this, and no matter where you are in the movie, you go, I gotta go to bed. You turn it off. But yeah, it's it's funny because sometimes it's Stargate, and I'll be in my little gym doing my lamish sort of exercises, and I'll be flipping, and there'll be an episode of Stargate, and it'll be, oh God, yeah, I remember doing that. I remember when Andy shot that, and oh man, and it's funny because most people watch the episode. I watch that part of my life when I see that episode, where I was, where the director was in his career or her career.
So it actually takes you back to set and takes you back to that moment rather than seeing the story on screen.
Yes, it does. It takes me to great example. 2010. Andy Makita directed it. The last act of that episode came out of my computer. I mean, I felt like I typed it in real time. And it didn't change at all. I mean, basically what I wrote in that moment, and then Andy came in with this amazing way of shooting it and concept of shooting it. And it was, if not his first episode that he directed, it was one of them. And it just made me go, oh man, that was a great decision. You know, hiring Andy as a director, get up, because he had worked with us for so many years as a production manager and then as a producer and as a first AD. I mean, early in Stargate. And so when he took off and directed 2010 as well as he did, it blew me away. And you know, like music cues, I can't not watch the ending of SGU. Well, the last episode's not really an ending, although to me it feels like an ending now. But Joel's final piece, that final piece of music that he wrote for that episode is just so good.